Hello everyone, my name is Mohit Jain and welcome back to my YouTube channel. In this video, we are going to talk about growth rate and how to calculate growth rate using Pyspark. Growth rate is one of the most important metrics that can be used to understand whether there is a positive growth in the business or the negative growth in business, or the growth is more or less similar on the month-on-month basis or on the year-on-year basis. Growth rate is generally represented as a percentage change in the value over a specific time period for a given variable. It can be a sales growth that we want to calculate. It can be a revenue growth. It can be a growth in the salary of a employee on the year on year basis, or it can be a growth rate of a population on the year on year basis that we want to calculate. So let's see how growth rate is calculated. So growth rate is final value minus initial value divided by initial value. And if we want the growth rate in percentage, we can multiply it by 100. As an example, we can see that if the initial value is $1,500 and the final value is $1,800, growth rate is calculated as final value minus initial value divided by initial value, which means that 1800 minus 1500 divided by 1500, which means 20% growth rate. So let's see how we can calculate growth rate using Pyspark by applying the same formula that we just saw. I'm using the shampoo sales dataset that is present in Kaggle. It contains two columns, month and sales. We are going to use this particular data set and we are going to calculate month-on-month growth rate as well as year-on-year growth rate using Pyspark. So let's start with the growth rate calculation in Pyspark. Let me import the necessary libraries. Then let me create the Spark session. We are going to read the shampoo sales file. There are two columns, like I mentioned, month and sales. In the month column, you can see that it represents the year and month. We have the 36 month of data set. So the first year would be 1-01 till 1-12. Similarly for year 2, it will be 2-01 till 12, and similarly for year 3. Now let me add 202 in the dataset to make it more intuitive. So instead of 1-01, it should be 2021-01, which means that year 2021 and the month is January. So let me run this. We have already seen how to concat in Pyspark. You can refer the previous videos for the same. So the window functions are used when you want to apply some calculations which involves multiple rows of the dataset which are in some way related to the current row. In the example of growth rate, I want to use two rows of the data set. So say for example, I want to calculate the growth rate for the month of January and February, then I have to refer two data set. Similarly for month of February and March, I have to refer these two data sets. So whenever there are such requirements, we have to use window functions. So it is similar to how we used group by functions, but in the case of group by, we were getting output as a single row. But in the case of our window function, we are going to get output as multiple rows that we are going to see in some time. So there are multiple important window functions available. So some of the functions that we are going to see are lead and lag today. But there are multiple other functions like rank, dense rank, and row number that we are going to use in upcoming videos. So let's calculate month-on-month growth rate. To calculate the month-on-month growth rate, we can use either a lead function or a lag function. First, we are going to use lead function, and then we are going to use lag function to calculate the growth rate. Lead function allows us to access the row below the current row. Similarly, the lag function allows us to access the row that is above the current row. So first, we are going to use the lead function and see how we can calculate growth rate using lead function. To use the window function in Pyspark, you first have to define the window spec. In the window spec, you define whether you want to partition the data on the basis of some column, or you want to order the data on the basis of column in ascending or descending order. So in our case, we are going to first do the order by, and I want to order by month. So I have written over here f.call month, and I want to use descending order to order our data set. Once we have defined the window spec, we can use the window spec in the lead function. We are going to create a new column called as previous sales, which will be containing the value of the sales of a previous month. So using lead on the sales column, and over the window spec that we have created, the previous month column would be containing the value for the previous month. So let me execute this and see the result. You can see over here that there is a sales column available and there is a new column available on the data frame, which is a previous sale. So you can see that we have the sales, which is the current month sale, and from the previous month, which is the November month for the year 2023, we can see that this value is the previous month value, and this value is not available in the December month columns. As I have explained, with the help of the lead function, we can get the value of the row that is below the current row. So in this scenario, we can see that there is a sales column available for the month of December 2023, and now we have the previous month column, that is November month column, available in the same row. Once we have applied the lead function, we can see that for the last row we have a null value, because since the data is available from the January of 2021, we don't have any value before that. That's why the previous value is null. Since we don't want the null value, we can ignore this value by filtering it out. So let's say that previous sales is not null, and now the column won't have the null value. You can see that we don't have the null value available. And to calculate the growth rate, since we want 2 months of data, that's why we have the month of February data and month of January data available, and we can calculate the growth rate from January to February. Let's now apply the growth rate formula and create a new column called as growth rate. So like we have seen above, that the growth rate formula is current month minus previous month divided by the previous month. When we multiply it by 100, it gives us the growth rate in percentage. Let's execute this and see how the growth rate looks like. You can see over here that the growth rate is now calculated, and we can see that the previous month value for this particular row, that is in November month, is 581, and the current month is 646. So current minus previous divided by previous gives us the growth rate of 11.28%. So the growth rate for all the months can be calculated like this. You can see that for the month of November, the growth rate is 22%. Similarly, for all the months, we have the growth rate calculated. We can also use lag function to calculate growth rate. A difference between the lead function and the lag function is, lead function gives us the value of the row that is below the current row, and the lag function gives us the value of the row that is above the current row. So one change that we are going to do over here is the order by month in the ascending order. So let me execute this and let me get the previous sales data set. And you can see that I have already replaced the lead with lag. And let's see the data set over here by applying show. You can see over here that the current month is January and the value is 266. Since we don't have any row before this row, that's why the previous sales is null for this particular month. And you can see that for the month of February 2021, the current month value is 145.9 and the previous month value is 266. So this is how we can apply the lag function. This lag function can be used to get the row above the current row. Hence we are getting the previous month from the above row. We have removed the row which is null using this particular filter, and once that is done, we can see that there is no null value available. Once this is done, we can now apply the growth rate using the same formula, current minus previous upon previous, and you can see over here that for all the months we have the growth rate now. So January month sale is 266 and February month sale is 145. So it's a negative 45% growth rate, which means that sales from January to February is now decreased. Similarly, we have the growth rate for all of the rows. So this is how we can calculate the month-on-month growth rate. Similarly, we can calculate the year-on-year growth rate. Since we have the monthly data available, we first have to aggregate it using group by, so that we have the yearly data available. So to get the year column from the month column, we have to do the sub-str, which is substring. So we have to get the 2023 from the month column and ignore the later values. So we can use the sub str, and you can see that if we apply the sub str on the month column, we can get the year column. So after creating the year column, we can apply the group by on the year column, and then we can do the aggregation. Basically, we can sum all the values for that particular year and get the current year sales. Over here, I have given the new column name as current year sales. I have already explained group by in my previous video. You can watch that video to understand how group by actually works. So let's execute this, and we can see that we have the data available for each year, and we have the aggregated value of the sales. So for the year 2022, you can see that the sales is 3153.5. Similarly for other years as well. Now we can apply the window spec and then the lead function over here. So it would be similar to what we have seen. The difference is that we are now using the yearly data, and we are going to see the year-on-year growth rate. So we are going to apply the lead function over the same window spec, and once I execute this, you can see that I have the previous year value as well as the current year value for a given year. Since we don't have any data prior to 2021, we can see that here we have the null value available. So we are going to first remove the null column, null row, and using the filter. Once that is done, we now have two records available for 2023 and 2022. In this particular data frame, we have the current year sale, which means 2023, and previous year, that is 2022. Similarly, in the second row, we have the current year as 2022 and the previous year as 2021. Let's apply the growth rate using the same formula, that is current year sales minus previous year sales divided by previous year sales, and multiply the result by 100 so that we can get the growth rate in percentage. You can see that the growth rate for the year 2022 is 33%. Similarly, for the year 2023, it's 82%. So this is how you can use window functions to calculate the growth rate. I hope you have liked this video. Please stay tuned for further videos on window functions, and don't forget to like, share and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you.